Hello, and welcome to Cut to Hook Movie Night. Tonight we are looking at Longmire, Season 1, Episodes 4 and 5. So I'm going to give it a few minutes for some folks to come on. And if you will, as you come on, just leave a little comment saying hello so I know who is here with me. But again, this is Cut to Hook Movie Night, and we are looking at the show series of Longmire, Season 1, Episode 4 and 5. We just finished having our Cut to Hook conversation where we talked about the Longmire blanket that we will begin making next Monday, this coming Monday, actually. So we talked a lot about it and what to expect. A good bit of it week to week will be a kind of mystery / surprise just to kind of keep the suspense there, but I'm excited about it. So I have a salad. See if I can show you my salad. I'm going to kind of munch on a little bit while I wait for everyone to come on. Episode 4 is called The Cancer, and episode 5 is called The Dog Soldier. So I hope you brought a crochet project along to work on. Again, I see a couple of folks with me. If you will, just say hello so I know who's here. I'm going to add some dressing to my salad. I have several people who have expressed an interest in making the Longmire blanket, but may or may not be able to join us on Friday nights for the movie conversation, either because they've got something on or they haven't been able to watch Longmire yet. I see a couple more people joining us. If you will, just tell me hello and let me know you're there. And hoping we'll get a couple people to come on and start our conversation. Before we started the Longmire series, I had never heard of it. I didn't know anything about it. And the more episodes we watch, of course, right now we're at 4 and 5, and that's literally as far as I have gotten. I really like it. It's good. I had a couple people leave some comments this week and said that they were very, very sad to hear that at the end of season 6 that was it. So I do know that not only does Longmire have 6 seasons, but that is all the seasons that it will have going forward. So anybody want to just kind of say hello and let me know who I've got on here? Hey, Roseanne. How are you? Hope you've had a good week. It is great to have you with us. I know Jen is usually here. Good to hear that, Roseanne. She has been leaving me comments all week. She loves Longmire. She's so excited about us watching this and having this discussion time. So I know that she has been just as excited about this endeavor as I have. This all began just while I'm waiting for a couple more people to come on so we can actually have our discussion time. Bree from Bree's Little Corner, Bree's Little Crochet Corner, excuse me, is the one who came up with this wonderful idea of us even watching a series together. And then it was Jen Reeves, who helped me decide about doing like the Q&A time. And then she also had a play, as well as a couple other folks, in us doing projects. They actually had talked about when we go to watch the next series we're going to do is on, I always have to think about it, Call the Midwife, and we'll make the midwife blanket. And so it was from all of that I thought, well, why not make a project for every series that we watch? Excuse me. So we are going to actually create a Longmire blanket. The introduction was this past Monday. So if you didn't catch that video, please be sure and go back and watch that. And then this coming Monday, we will actually start creating the Longmire blanket. So who all else is here with Roseanne and I? Roseanne, that tutorial will go out at 3 o'clock on Monday afternoons, Eastern Standard Time, under the Fun Day Monday episodes that I do. And then for the next 3 weeks, starting this Monday at 2, there will be a tutorial on the stitch that is actually being introduced for that episode. And then after 3 weeks, which will be the first Sunday in October, those extra special tutorials for that Fun Day Monday tutorial on the Longmire blanket will actually start airing on Sunday afternoons at 3 p.m. in the slot that was being filled by the Yarn Wall Voyage, because the last Sunday of September will finish that series with a tour of my craft studio. So then on Sunday afternoon, starting the first Sunday in October, which I believe is October the 2nd, we'll have a tutorial on the stitch that we'll be learning, so to speak, to do the blanket on Mondays at 3. And that tutorial on Sunday will be at 3, and then the one on Monday will be at 3. So most of my tutorials or videos air at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, with the exception of the Friday on the Hooks. The Bible studies at 4 p.m. and then the Cup to Hook conversations at 7, and then this discussion is at 9. And then the only other video that I do that does not fall in a 3 o'clock time frame is on Saturday mornings, and that is where I try to put out a look at what videos are airing for the week. But unfortunately, the last couple of weeks, that's actually been airing on Sunday, just due to needing extra time. And at this current moment, it will be either sometime Saturday evening or Sunday morning for this week as well. But I am trying to get ahead of that so that that comes back out at 10 o'clock on mornings. All right. Well, it does not look like we are getting any more folks. Roseanne, have you actually watched the Longmire episodes 4 and 5 out of season 1? And it's okay if you haven't. I'm going to go ahead and start the Q&A. And even though I don't, oh, awesome. I would say, even though I don't have a lot of people on here tonight, we'll go through it. And if you feel free, want to answer, great. Hopefully, as the time goes on, we'll get a couple more people on here. I know Jen had made the suggestion for me to start doing, and I guess that's another video that doesn't air at a 3 p.m. slot. She made a suggestion that I do like a premiere for tonight. And so I did. I sent out a premiere this past week on Wednesday. And I really cannot remember. I know it was in the evening that I sent that out so that we could try and help make more people aware that we're even doing this, because I know it hasn't really been advertised except for on some of my lives, and not everybody's able to catch those. So trying to do it in a short, quick way where people can see that we're even doing this. Because honestly, the more people we get, the funner it will be. But if not, then the select group that we have is great. I know I look forward to it anyway. But we'll just go through our questions, and I'll just give some time so that if people are watching the replay, it'll give themselves a time to answer it in their own thoughts before the answers are revealed. But if you know the answers, Roseanne, you're welcome to pop in with an answer. And if not, after a few moments, I will just reveal the answers. So if you're ready, we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so looking at episode 4, and it was called The Cancer. In the very beginning, what did the fisherman catch? He was fly fishing, and what did he catch? That is correct, Roseanne. He caught a rope that drug in 2 dead bodies. All right. So again, some of my questions you had to really listen for, and this next one is one of them. What kind of lure did Deputy Ferg say the fishermen caught the dead bodies with? Oh, that's fine, Roseanne. I just appreciate the interaction. All right. So the answer to that question, to what kind of lure did Deputy Ferg say dead bodies with? It was called a parachute Adams. Never heard of that kind of lure before. All right. The next question. What did Vic say the bodies were tied up like? And the answer is Vic said that the dead bodies were tied up like a pot roast. Next question. What did Vic find on one of the bodies? The item that Vic found on one of the bodies was a hotel key card. All right, the next question. Walt and Vic made a visit to Leslie Ambrose. What did she think that they were there for? Yes, Roseanne, it was a hotel key card. You're right. So Walt and Vic made a visit to Leslie Ambrose, but what did Leslie think that they were there for? That's right, Roseanne, that they were there for building permits. All right. What did Leslie do when Walt showed her a picture of one of the dead bodies? She fainted. All right. As Vic and Walt were leaving Leslie's, that's right, Roseanne, she fainted. What did Vic tease Walt about when they were leaving Leslie's house or ranch? Vic teased Walt about something. Yes. She teased him about how Leslie was flirting with him. Trying to get a small enough bite, so. Because Leslie was definitely flirting with him. What did Vic tell Walt that he should do about it? And it was funny because he got in his truck and Vic just kind of stood there and he saw her in his rearview mirror and he rolled the window down, but just leave it alone. Vic actually told Walt that he should ask Leslie out, that he should just ask her out. But Walt probably wanted Vic to just leave it alone. All right. Who did Henry ID the dead men as? So we have two bodies. Who did Henry ID them as? Vic is trying to play Cupid. Very close, Roseanne. She said Frank Whitehawk or Fred Whitehawk, but you're very close. You got the last name right, which was really good because they didn't say that part a whole lot. But Freddie, so you were close. You said Fred. Freddie Whitehawk And then the second guy, he said he'd never seen before. So we don't know at this point who it was. All right. Who did Henry say that Freddie was close to? In fact, when Henry found out that one of the dead guys was Freddie, he actually got emotional and started crying. But who did he say Freddie was close to? You're right, Roseanne. His grandmother. His grandmother, Alma, had raised him because Freddie's parents were deceased. All right. Next question. What did Henry acknowledge was Walt's job, but that he wanted to do? As sheriff, it was Walt's job to do something, but Henry told Walt that he wanted to do it instead. Which is would be a hard job to do. You're right, Roseanne. It was to tell the grandmother that Freddie was dead. When Vic actually found the hotel room that the key card went to, what did the hotel owner tell her that she needed? That's right. She needed a search warrant. So when Walt brought the search warrant, why did he tell Vic she was lucky? Because I guess he was able to get that search warrant rather quickly. So why was Vic lucky? Good job, Roseanne. Because the judge was at the bar drinking at the Red Pony. So he was able to get that warrant. All right. So now Walt and Vic are in the hotel room, and when they first walk in, it looks untouched. It looks like no one's even really been there. But as they search the room, what did they find in the hotel room? Yes, Roseanne, you got all three correct. They found a suitcase full of money. They found the shotgun with the gun ammo, and they found a statue. How much money did Vic say was in that suitcase? Roseanne, I appreciate your participation in this. I know that having to try and answer these questions alone isn't probably allowing you a lot of time to crochet and type in comments. So I appreciate it. You're a good sport. You're very, very close. You said 237,000. It was 238,000. So you were just off 1,000. But good job. That was one of the tough questions. Good for you. You're multitasking. I have something, but I'm trying to eat my salad first. All right. Do you remember? So when it comes to the money in the suitcase, there was 238,000 in there, but Vic specifically said that they were all in what size bills? Do you remember? There was two sizes that the bills were in. I see a couple more people have joined us, so please feel free to join in the conversation or just say hi. But Vic said that the bills were in 50s and hundreds. You're right, Roseanne. 50s and hundreds. So a lot of 50s and a lot of hundreds to make $238,000. All right. Now the statue that was found in the hotel room, what did Ferg, Deputy Ferg, say that the statue they found represented? It was the patron saint of what? Thank you, Roseanne, for your answer, the gang, but that's not quite the answer. The statue represented the patron saint of something. It was the patron saint of smugglers. So then Henry told Walt that Freddie's grandmother wanted something back. What was it that Freddie's grandmother wanted that belonged to Freddie? Something that Freddie carried with him everywhere. You got it, Roseanne. It was his St. Christopher medal. Good job. All right, next question. Walt talked to one of the Res Tribal Police named Matthias. And Walt questioned him why he didn't tell him that the cartel was even on the res. And Matthias told Walt that the next time he'll send him something to let him know that they were there. What was it? What did he tell Walt that he would send him? Good job, Roseanne. A smoke signal. He said next time that the drug cartel is on the res, that he will send him a smoke signal. Those two are so comical together. All right. What did Walt have Jamie deliver to him at a mile marker? Now, I didn't really pick up on Jamie before now, so I didn't really know what his role was. But obviously, he delivers pizzas. Oh, I just told you the answer. He delivered a pizza. Yes, Roseanne. So he delivered pizzas, but Jamie has kind of been like an informant for Walt. And so Walt has him deliver pizzas in order to talk to him about certain things and have discussions. So, yes, Walt actually had him deliver a pizza to a mile marker. And it was kind of funny because he told Walt, I should have known that it was you because only you would have me deliver a pizza to a certain mile marker. All right. So as Walt and Jamie are talking, Jamie confesses to Walt that he was buying something from Freddie. Remember, Freddie is the one of the guys that was killed. What was Jamie buying from Freddie? Yes, Roseanne. He was buying marijuana from Freddie. All right. What was the guy's name that Jamie said he heard Freddie talk to on the phone? So there was someone that Freddie was kind of reporting to or reporting with. And Jamie overheard them talking on the phone. And what did Freddie call that person? Do you remember there was a specific name? Roseanne, Hector doesn't come into play until the next episode. It was kind of like a disguise name that Jamie heard Freddie say. It was El Lupo was the name. El Lupo. All right. As Jamie and Walt were standing at the mile marker talking, gunshots rang out and a wolf ran across the road. And then a man emerged. What did Walt say? He said, what the hell is happening to my blank? To my county. So, next question. So Walt is now at the children's home, and he's talking to a little boy there. And oh, excuse me, I'm going to correct myself. It wasn't Walt. Branch. Branch was talking to a little boy. And what did the boy tell Branch that El Lupo stood for? El Lupo stood for wolf, like a wolf in sheep's clothing, someone that's hiding right there in the open. All right, so Leslie comes to the police station to see Walt, And so the question is, what two things did Leslie bring to Walt at the police station? She brought him two things. One of the things was something that he asked her. Well, technically, Vic asked her to bring when Vic and Walt were visiting in the beginning. And then the second thing was something she just did. I love it, Roseanne. She said herself and a checkbook. The first thing she brought him was a list of the contractors. Yes, you got it, Roseanne. The list of contractors. And then the second thing is she wrote him a check for his campaign. Because she wants him to win over Branch. Because if you remember, Branch is running for sheriff. All right. So next question. When Leslie was talking with Walt, she told him a name that he could call her. So what name did Leslie give Walt to call her? Which is also what Vic refers to her as. Yeah, she's still trying to date him. Which I don't think it was a question that I wrote down. I didn't. So, which is funny because she sends him a pizza later. Lizzie. She said that he could call her Lizzie. All right. So later, Walt and Vic go to a, can't say that. That will give the answer away. All right. Where did Vic and Walt find Freddie's St. Christopher medal? So they found Freddie's St. Christopher medal that his grandmother wants. Where did they find it? No, Roseanne, it wasn't in Ryan's room. It was in Octavia Moore's abandoned rental car. So they found the abandoned rental car, and also, yes, the car. And Matthias drove up, remember? And Walt was even questioning Matthias why the car was abandoned so close to the res. Walt told Henry, by the time you find it, it's too late. What is he referring to? He was talking about something specific, but when he made this statement, it was like incorporating several different things, which I wouldn't quite understand had something not been revealed in our discussion last week. But he told Henry, by the time you find it, it is too late. Anyone have any idea what he's referring to? I'll give you a hint. It's in the title of this episode. The answer is cancer. By the time you find it, it's usually too late. Next question. Walt tells Henry he can't just walk around with a 4-foot marijuana plant. It's illegal. So what did Henry ask Walt to do? So, of course, leading up to this, Vic and Walt find this small marijuana grove. And Walt pulls up a plant. And it's about 4 feet tall. And he takes it to Henry to see if he can, do some identification on it and whatnot. And so Henry wants to take this to someone else to look at. And Walt says, you can't just walk around with a 4-foot marijuana branch or tree plant. And because it's illegal. So Henry asked Walt to do something. What did he ask Walt to do? That's right, Roseanne. To be a deputy, to deputize him. All right. And then Walt asked Branch to go look for somebody, because somebody who was in the earlier part of the episode is now missing. They haven't seen him. They don't know where to find him. And so they think that something has happened, that the drug cartel may have gotten a hold of him. So who is it that Walt wants Branch to go look for? Yes, Roseanne. It's Jamie, the pizza guy. And I've not seen future episodes of Longmire, so I don't know how important it is. But Jamie's full name is actually Jamie LaBelle. All right, so now we got Vic and Walt and Eli. And they're going and they're walking 2 water lines to see where they lead to. Because obviously there's only supposed to be 1 water line, but there's 2. So Vic is walking one, and Henry and, Eli and Walt are walking the other one. Now, Walt originally was going to go off on his own, and he was going to send Eli with Vic. But Vic takes off walking fast, saying, I can follow a water line. And she says, besides, I walk faster than both of y'all. So the question then is, how did Henry get in touch with Walt about where the marijuana plants originated from? Because remember, Walt does not carry a cell phone. So how was he able to communicate that information to Walt? Henry reached him by calling on Eli's phone. Now remember, Eli is the other officer that was with Walt. So while they were on the phone, where did Henry tell Walt that the marijuana plants originated from? Do you remember where Henry told Walt that he was able to find out where the marijuana plants originated from? Yes, Roseanne. Southern Afghanistan. So, who do we know that did 4 tours in Afghanistan? Thus, also reveals who was actually El Lupo. So who did 4 tours in Afghanistan and is actually El Lupo? And you are correct. It was Eli. So Walt thinks now that it's Eli who killed Freddie, but it wasn't. Who did Eli actually say killed Freddie? Which also reveals who the second body is. Because the person who was the second body that was found with Freddie yeah, it wasn't Jamie. I started to give the answer. So the person who killed Freddie was the actual body that was found with Freddie. Now, they didn't give us a name, but they told us that that guy was a drug cartel guy. And Freddie was introducing this guy to Eli to become a partner with Freddie and Eli, because Freddie and Eli are partners growing these marijuana plants in the groves. And so Freddie has brought this guy that he's done other dealings with from the drug cartel to Eli for them all to become partners. Now, Eli wasn't really happy about Freddie bringing this guy or even considering including him as a partner. Well, next thing we know, this drug cartel guy shoots Freddie twice and kills him. But how did this guy become a dead body with Freddie? Who killed the drug cartel guy? So the drug cartel guy killed Freddie. And who killed him? Eli killed him. He said he couldn't let him leave after he had just sat there and killed Freddie. So that leads us to assume that Eli is the one who tied them up like a pot roast, as Vix called it. So Eli and Walt are sitting there talking, and Walt has handcuffed Eli, so he's got handcuffs on. And all of a sudden, someone starts shooting at them. So now, who's shooting at them? So that's the question. Who was shooting at Walt and Eli? Nope, it wasn't Jamie. He gave his name when he checked into the hotel. And the hotel clerk says, "Oh, you're a fisherman." And he was like, "Yeah." but I didn't really quite catch the name. But basically, it's the drug cartel guy who checked in at the hotel. So, of course, Walt has to end up taking the handcuffs off of Eli, giving him his service weapon back so they can split up to try and save both their lives. And yeah, it wasn't the reservation cop. It was another drug cartel guy. And so in the end, Walt shoots him. But after Walt shoots the drug cartel guy, Eli pointed his service weapon at Walt, who then pointed a gun at. Okay, thank you for letting me know. So apparently there was a lag. So let me go back. After Walt shot the drug cartel guy, Eli then points his service weapon at Walt, who comes up behind and points their gun at Eli. Yes, Roseanne, Vic does. So she's still walking that other water line. She hears the gunshots and she starts running, screaming Vic's name. Now, this is just a little side note. What I thought was kind of odd was she's running and she's using the water line to pull herself up, but she's running, screaming his name, and the whole time she's heard gunshots. She's worried about Walt, and yet she never drew her gun until she actually pulled it on Eli. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. All right, so we later find out that Jamie is okay. He apparently just went into hiding in fear of his life. When Walt saw him, he asked Jamie what he told Branch, how they knew each other. Because Branch is the one who found Jamie. And so remember, Jamie is kind of like an informant, so to speak, for Walt. So Walt is curious what Jamie told Branch on how they knew each other, because obviously Walt doesn't want to give Jamie up as his informant, and yet, Jamie isn't always on the up and up. So how did they know each other? And very good, Roseanne. He did. He told him that they played in a band together. Good job. All right. So Lizzie orders the pizza for Walt and has it delivered with a card that says, "Next time you owe me dinner." And so Henry is there at Walt's house where Jamie delivered the pizza. And Henry asked Walt, "Who is Lizzie?" And what did Walt tell him? Walt told Henry that she was something, which I thought was another funny side of Walt's sense of humor. He didn't tell Henry who she really was or that she was flirting with him. Right, Roseanne. He says, "Oh, she's just a registered voter." So I thought that was funny. All right. So the very last question for this episode is, what did Walt give Henry to give to Freddie's grandmother? Walt gave something to Henry for Henry to give to Freddie's grandmother. And yes, Roseanne, it was the St. Christopher's medal. So that was a nice closure to that episode. So, wow, this next episode, episode 5, The Dog Soldier, that was a pretty intense episode. Maybe it was because of the nature of what was going on, but anyway, definitely kind of left me like, shh, nobody talk to me right now. I'm watching this. But it was a very good episode. All right, so it is called The Dog Soldier. So when the episode starts, there's a group of kids and they're playing. What game were they playing? I can remember playing this actually with my brother growing up. My sister was still a little young, so she wasn't able to go play with us. My parents, when we first moved to South Carolina from Florida, we moved in the country. And so we had a lot of land and pasture and fields. And so my brother and I were able to go out and play. And we would play this. But the game that the kids were playing was Cowboys and Indian. How appropriate for the show, right? So they were playing Cowboys and Indians. One of the kids was on a horse. And so he's a foster kid. And so what was the name of the foster kid who went missing from his horse with only his shoe remaining on the horse? Do you remember what his name was? Yes, Roseanne. It was Neil. And Neil was about to be adopted by this family, and their names, I wrote it down later on, were the Fieldings. Do you remember how many weeks were left before Neil Cody, was actually the boy's full name, was going to be adopted? There was only a couple weeks left before he was going to be adopted. Do you remember exactly how many? That's right, Roseanne. Very good. Good job. 2. He was 2 weeks away from being adopted by the Fieldings. All right. Who does Walt think actually abducted Neil? Who does Walt think actually came and kidnapped this little boy? Roseanne, you said Ryan. No. Of course, Ryan is a guy that works at the children's home. At first, Walt actually thought it was his biological parents, because supposedly Neil has been taken from his parents because supposedly they have made really bad choices and have addictions. So Walt automatically assumes that it's his biological parents that have kidnapped him. Well, why did his parents even give him up? Now, we were told that he was taken from them because they made poor choices and They had addictions. But when Walt was actually talking, he went to Neil's biological parents' home on the res, and he was actually talking. The mother was just kind of moving around listening. She wasn't really in the conversation. So the conversation was really between Walt and Neil's biological dad. But why did they give him up? What did the father say about why Neil even went to, or how he became a foster kid? I almost gave away an answer for the next question, or a question coming up. But why did Neil's biological father say that they had given Neil up? And the answer is they didn't give him up. The father says that social services came and took him away while he was at school. And if you remember, when Walt arrived to the home, there was a little girl sitting on the, I think it was a little girl. There was a small child sitting on the steps with a dinosaur book. So they still had a child. So social services just came and took them. Didn't really have an answer. I just appreciate you participating, Roseanne. You've been a great sport tonight. All right. So before Neil actually went to go live at the Fieldings, where did he live before then? So he left, he was taken at school from his biological parents. And before he makes it over to the Fieldings, where they can actually legally adopt him, there was one place he ended up going to before he got from here to here. Do you remember where it was? You're right, Roseanne. It was the children's group home. All right. So now we're back at the sheriff's station, the police station, and Walt has called Katie to come see him. So Katie is telling Walt and Vic that she is not able to help them with this case. And Vic calls her a goody-goody. And so the question is, Katie told Vic that there is a difference between being a goody-goody and being what? So in other words, she's not being a goody-goody because there's a difference between being a goody-goody and something else. She told Vic that there is a difference between being a goody-goody and getting disbarred from the state. So that leads into the next question, and that was, well, why can't Katie help find Neil then? Why would helping them get her disbarred? Roseanne says her agency is handling the case. Her boss, the agency she works for, is actually covering Neil's adoption to the Fieldings. So there would be a conflict of interest. All right. Now, Roseanne, you touched on this a minute ago. But what is the name of the group home? When it first showed us a picture of the group home, it showed a big sign that had the name on there. And it was Nellie Taylor Ross Home for Children. And I had to rewind that a couple times because I did the same thing, Roseanne. I first wrote Neely down, and I had to go back and see that it was Nellie, Nellie. Then the second name I thought was Taylor, but when I was rewinding it back to look at something else, which is our next question, because it was also on the sign, I realized that it's not Taylor. It was Tayloe, Tayloe. So it was Nellie Taylor Ross Home for Children. And to answer your question, what was the goody-goody answer? So Katie told Vic that there's a difference between being a goody-goody and being disbarred from the state. So that was the answer, being disbarred from the state. So also on the sign was the year that the Home for Children was established. Got to guess at what that year was? It's a good guess, but no, it is not 1999. It was 1954. All right. So the next question, Walt called and asked somebody to keep an eye on the Cody house on the res. Who did he call and ask? Now remember, Walt apparently does not have the greatest relationship with people on the res. Wasn't Jamie. Henry's a good guess too, but it wasn't Henry. It is somebody that actually lives on the reservation. And it took me a while. In fact, I think it was actually last episode that I actually caught this character's name, but he is one of the tribal police. And it was Matthias, the Indian with the long hair. So he actually called Matthias and asked Matthias to keep an eye on the Cody's biological parents' house. And it's funny because as he's hanging up the phone with Matthias, he's like, always a pleasure. And you can just hear the sarcasm in his voice. All right, so Walt is in the police station still, sitting at his desk, having this conversation with Matthias. And he learns that there is a woman there in the, lobby area that's crying. Who is the crying woman? All right, the crying woman is another woman who has a son missing. How old is her son? You got to go get your notes. I love it. Oh, so close, Roseanne. But yes, you're very close. You said 37. He was actually 35. So this woman is crying because her grown 35-year-old son is missing. But this isn't a question. This is just a tidbit. She's not crying because he's missing in like the same fashion that these young kids are, or this young boy has come up missing. She is crying because she has a feeling that her son has something to do with why the young boy is missing. All right. Do you remember what her son's name actually is? You did really good. She was saying that she did all that from memory. Close, Roseanne. It's not Shank. Ryan Shank is the boy that works at the boys' home. But her son's name is Jeremy Thompson. And do you remember what his occupation was, what Jeremy used to do? He was something in Tulsa. And he had to leave that job and come home. But what did he do? Such a good salad. My husband did a good job. Jeremy was a teacher's aide in Tulsa. I kind of have the same problem, Roseanne, but probably not for the same reason. I write the answers in one color, and then I write the questions in one color, and then I write the answers always in blue ink. So like, let me back this up. So like, for example, episode 1, I wrote in green and the answer's in blue. And then the next one was kind of like purple. And then that was like an orange, like an orangey red. This one was in pink. But this one, I used a metallic orange. And like that, looking at it that way, you can see it. But when it goes like that, you see how it, so I keep having to look at it funny. But anyway. So he was a teacher's aide in Tulsa. So why did he have to leave his job and come live with his mom in Wyoming? The reason he had to come live with his mom in Wyoming and leave his job as a teacher's aide was because there were accusations against him for touching boys. And that leads us back to why his mom was there crying, not because he was missing, against his will, but because he was missing because when he came to live with her, knowing that he should have registered as a sex offender, he didn't. And she knew that because she was hoping to be able to give him a fresh start. So now she's worried and fearful that he had something to do with why this young boy is missing, why Neil's missing. All right. So what did Walt issue after this discussion with Jeremy's mom? It's actually something I think that Branch suggested. Yeah, and that she was afraid he would do it again. Exactly. So this is something that Branch suggested earlier, but Walt didn't do it until now. So what did he issue? he issued an Amber Alert. And it was at this point that they told us actually how old Neil is. So, do you know how old Neil is? Good job, Roseanne. He's 8. So Neil is an 8-year-old boy that's missing. All right. Do you remember what the description of Jeremy's vehicle that they gave was? Or that his mom gave? What color, year, and make was his pickup truck that his mom gave? I'll give you this. It was a 1995 Ford pickup. So what were the colors? She gave 2 colors that described his 1995 Ford pickup truck. Good job, Roseanne. You had the 95 Ford. Yes. So what 2 colors? Gray, not quite, but you're very, very warm. This is why I crochet. Can you see me fidgeting? I've been fidgeting this whole time. That's why I crochet, so I sit still. Silver was one of the colors, and there was one more color. It was silver and white. All right. Unless you wrote this down, you're probably not going to get this next question. It's a tough one. They called out Jeremy's license plate tag number. Do you know what his tag number was? Oh my gosh, Roseanne, you're very, very close. You got the 243 right. And then it's a 0, then the C, and the 6, and then it's an H. So it's 2430C6H. Very close. Good job. All right. So now Walt is at the children's home, right? And comes to find out that not only is Neil missing, but now how many more boys are missing? How many boys are missing from the group home? Roseanne, you said 3. There are 3 boys altogether missing. So there's Neil and there's 2 other boys. When Vic asked the children if they had seen the man in the picture, and she showed him a picture of Jeremy, what did one of the children say? When she said, "Have you seen this man in the picture?" One little itty bitty piped up and said something. Did they say yes or no? And what was their reason for either saying yes or no? There was like 3 children sitting on a couch, and then there was a little boy drawing, which later Walt and Henry talked to the little boy that's drawing. But the little itty bitty on the couch said no because they were sleeping. All right. Do you remember the names of the 2 boys that were missing? What were the names of the two boys that had gone missing? Their names were Sierra and Michael. So Walt is now talking to the social worker. And as they're talking, Walt says, well, what do the boys, all three missing boys, have in common? And the social worker gave 4 things that they had in common. Do you know what those 4 things are? Good answer, Roseanne, but no, it's not Native Americans. But that is something they did have in common because they were all Cheyenne children. The first thing was her as their social worker. They had her in common. The second thing she said they had in common was abuse. The third thing that she said they had in common was neglect. And the fourth thing she said they had in common was malnourishment. So the 4 things that they all 3 had in common was her as a social worker, abuse, neglect, and malnourishment. And then she tells Walt that there was a man that came by asking about one of the boys. And the boy he was actually asked was Sierra. And she said that he got really upset and frustrated with her. Who was the man? Who came by to ask her about Sierra? It's not Hector, Roseanne, but his name does start with an H. I'll give you a minute to see if you type in an answer. His name does start with an H. Henry. It was Henry, Walt's best friend. So, and the reason he had gone is because he knew the little boy and he knew the little boy's mother from the res. And he was going to ask for her because he had been taken from her. Not taken as in kidnapped, but like social services had come and gotten him. And so it was Henry. And then Henry was telling Walt that there's an Indian saying. And the Indian saying is, and I'm going to say the first part, and the question part for you is finishing the phrase. And the first part of the phrase is, kill the Indian and save the what? It's an Indian phrase that was said a lot on the reservation, and it was more of a sarcastic kind of thing, like something that the Cheyenne believed when it came to Indians and the white man. And it was kill the Indian and save the man. Every time. In other words, the Indian is always wrong. And when it comes down to the Indian and the white man's life, the Indian dies and the white man always lives. And that's what the Indians believe, or the Cheyennes believe. All right. So Jeremy Thompson and Ryan Shank. Okay, so now Jeremy is this crying woman's son who was a teacher's aide in Tulsa and had to come live with her because he's now a sex offender. And Ryan Shank is the boy that helps out at the children's home. They have a connection. They know each other. How do they know each other? What is their connection? What links them together? Roseanne, you said Crystal. I'm trying to, who's Crystal? The Indian agent, the adoption. Okay. Ah. Okay. Okay. Got you. No, their connection is and was learned after Walt and Vic were searching Ryan Shank's library, where Walt told Vic, you can always learn a lot about a person by looking at their bookcase. And he found a yearbook. And so Jeremy Thompson and Ryan Shank knew each other because they were on the same wrestling team in high school. So that was their connection. Yes, wrestling. All right. Good job, Roseanne. All right. My crazy pen, I can't read it with the light shining. Let's see. All right. All right. So now they've come and they are talking to the little boy that was drawing all the pictures. And what did he tell Walt that dog soldiers can do? What can dog soldiers do? Yes, Roseanne. They can transform. They can shapeshift between man and dog, dog and man. All right. This little boy's name is actually Luke. So what did Luke say? The man he saw, he has a scar. And where did Luke say the scar was? The man he saw that they call the dog soldier has a scar. Where is that scar? Yes, Roseanne, on his cheek. So the dog soldier has a scar on his cheek. Immediately, who did Walt think Luke saw? And you know the answer, Roseanne. You've been saying it a couple times. Yes, now, Hector. So we have established now that the dog soldier is Hector. All right. Now, Walt and them come up on a scene, and what body part did Walt, Vic, and Henry find? I'm laughing with you, my friend. Yes, Hector finally fit into the question and answer. They did, Roseanne. They found an ear. And Henry immediately was like, please tell me it's not a child's ear. And it wasn't. But the question is, whose ear was it? I know. Where is Jen tonight? And she sent me a message saying she was so excited on the premiere that I did, that she was so excited, but obviously something's come up. But do you remember whose ear it was? It was Ryan Shanks. And they also found that he was dead. So the next question, and we're getting close to the end. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 questions left. And really, I'm looking at the last question, and we kind of already answered it. So technically, we have 7 left. Because the last question I said was, who is the dog soldier? And of course, we've established that that is indeed Hector. So really, we only have 7 questions left. All right. Why was Shank possibly killed? I'm trying to remember, who was Walt talking to? Oh, he was talking with, hang on a second. Yeah, I can't say that because it gives away some next questions. Yes, because of profit from the kids. So he finds out that taking a child in the foster system, you make a certain amount of money. But if you take in an Indian kid, especially from the res, then you made double the amount of money for taking them. And it was kind of a way to encourage people to actually bring an Indian child in to their home under foster care. So yes, and my actual response was, homes that had kids off the res made double the money for a Cheyenne kid. Ryan was helping out at this children's home, and he was actually keeping the extra money that was made, and he was not reporting it. So in a way, if you will, he was scamming money off of the children's home. All right. So then the next question is, who do they think ran the social worker off the road? So she's had this wreck and she's been run off the road. So who do they believe ran her off the road? Roseanne, it actually was not Ryan. It's the man you've been trying to give me all night. Yes, yay! It's Hector. He's at it again. So they believe it's Hector. But why do they believe it's Hector? What did she tell them? They think it's Hector because of what she said. She said there was a large, tall, dark-skinned man, meaning an Indian, right. You're right, Roseanne, that approached her, and he had a scar on his cheek. All right. So now we have an encounter between Walt and Hector. And what does Hector do to Walt? He does beat him up, but before they get to that, he actually puts a sleep hold or a choke hold on him, and Walt passes out. So comes to, they start talking, and Hector tells Walt that he didn't kill anyone. Okay? All right? Because remember, also, we've got Ryan who's been killed. And so Hector's saying, it's not me. I didn't do it. All right? But he does say that he warned Ryan Shank to quit doing something. And what did he warn Shank to quit doing? It's the second one, Chris. I mean, Roseanne, the kids. She put taking the money or kids. He told Ryan Shank to quit stealing their kids off the res. So they were not necessarily legitimately taking these kids away for actual neglect or abuse, which is the case with Neil Cody. Neil Cody was taken from his parents, but his parents weren't doing anything wrong. And if you remember, Neil's dad, when Walt was talking to him, said, look, I walk 4.5 miles to work. I come home with enough time to basically shower and change clothes before going to my next job. And I'm working on a car so that I can get a better job full time, making better money than this. So they were hardworking people. They had not neglected their child, but their child was being taken from them, as well as other kids on the res, because people were making money if they took these kids in. Now, does that mean that these foster homes were bad? No. We'll find out more about that in a minute. All right. So he told Shank to quit stealing their kids. So obviously, Shank is taking some of these kids, kidnapping them, and bringing them to the home because the government is giving them double the money for having these kids into the children's home. But what's happening is he's only reporting the money that he makes per head, whether if they're not an Indian, but the extra money he was pocketing himself. So Hector has kind of warned Shank to quit stealing their kids. All right, our 3 missing boys. They finally show up at the Red Pony. And who do they say dropped them off? All right, excuse me. The missing kids were dropped off at the Red Pony. What or who did they tell Walt and Henry took them from their homes in the first place, or in Neil's case, when he was out playing cowboys and Indians? So who did they say actually abducted them? You're getting ahead of me, Roseanne, with Crystal. It wasn't actually Crystal. They said the person that actually abducted them was the dog soldier. And of course, who is the dog soldier? Hector. Hey, Jen. Roseanne and I have been talking about you in a good way. How we missed you, and we had a moment of laughter. And Roseanne says, "Where is Jen?" so she could laugh with us over this. So you'll definitely have to catch the replay. And I'm so sorry that you had a super long day at work. If you don't mind, what do you do for a living? I will have to watch the replay. Just wanted you to know that I forget about tonight, but circumstances changed my plans. And that happens. We did miss you, though. Well, I do hope you get a good sleep. Yeah, we're actually at the end. I think we're down to 2 more questions. So, but we love you, and we will definitely look forward to spending time with you next week. I'm glad you're home. All right. So they said that it was actually the dog soldier that took them. And of course, we know the dog soldier was Hector. But Hector is not who dropped them off, because when they were dropped off, where was Hector? Oh, wow. That sounds like a cool job, Jen. Driving people all over to pick up cars for a dealership. Yeah, that sounds like a fun job. But I can certainly see where you can't like just say, oh, it's 5 o'clock, clock out and go home. Cool. Roseanne, he was in jail. After he and Walt got into the fight, Walt arrested him and took him to the jail. So he was actually in jail when the 3 boys were returned. And so the very last question is, who actually was responsible, like the orchestrator of taking these kids in order to get the financial gain from the government for the extra money for these Cheyenne kids? And none other than, you got it, Roseanne. Tell us her name one last time. Who was it? Jen says, sorry I had to miss you guys too. It's fun sometimes. It's fun. Sometimes I drive with old men. And I bet that would be fun. I'm sure they're a trip. A trip and a trip. Oh, yeah. Don't they all think they're the best drivers? And so, yes, the orchestrator of taking these Cheyenne kids that really are not coming from abused, neglectful homes was none other than the social worker, Crystal herself. So all these boys are returned to their families, and sadly, Neil Cody luckily gets to go home to his biological parents, but sadly for the Fieldings, they are not going to adopt him. And so I'm sure that this part of the episode, I mean, I can only imagine, won't be emphasized going forward. So I've always got to think positively. So I'm going to think positively that the Fieldings and the Cody will, allow Neil to visit and have a part of his life. So it was still fun, Roseanne. I enjoyed it. I mean, I know I laughed several times, and hey, laughter's the best medicine, and it was a lot of fun. So 3 weeks down, and we're doing good. So next week we will look at episodes 6 and 7. So, yeah. All right. Well, I am going to go finish my salad and see if my husband is still awake and see if I can catch a movie with him, because I work at the hospital the rest of the weekend. So yeah, and see what I can crochet on. All right. Well, good night to you. And there are a couple other people on here. I'm not sure who they are, but good night to you. I know that you've been with us throughout this whole thing, so I appreciate you hanging out with us and listening to Roseanne and I be goofy and have fun. And hopefully you laughed when we laughed. And me too, Jen. Roseanne and I missed you a lot. And I saw where you commented on the premiere. That is the only thing I've not been able to accomplish this week, is answering comments on the videos. And I'm hoping to do that over the next couple of nights during my downtime at the hospital, is to try and pop on and get some of them answered. But I don't know. We'll see if the premiere works. I'm going to keep doing that and announcing the episodes that we'll be doing. And hopefully we'll get some more folks to come on and actually help us with our answers and give more laughs. I did discuss the blanket, not so much in this video, but earlier this evening in the Cup to Hook conversation number 24, we talked about it a good bit. So definitely when you get a chance this week, go check that out. And then, of course, there'll be some things Monday starting the blanket. So, but if you have any questions, just shoot me a comment in the comment section, or you can always shoot me an email, whichever you prefer. So, but yes, we are officially starting it Monday. And yeah, I want to say a whole lot because they did. So, and we have several folks on here. They, and it's okay. So if you're, because I can see you're still there, it's okay if you don't tell us who you are and you're just on for the ride and the adventure. And hopefully you're just kicking back and crocheting while the rest of us are gabbing and answering questions. But yes, I'm hoping that, we also will get some more people on here that will actually participate in the Q&A, because it's a lot of fun. And I know that Roseanne and I had quite a few good many laughs laughing at each other. So lots of fun, but you go get some rest, my friend. Glad you're home safe. Hopefully you're off for the weekend. If not, I wish you well the next couple days and hope it's a easy, fun workload. But I am going to go grab some hubby time, because I do work for the rest of the weekend at the hospital. So it'll be nothing really but sleeping and working. And then, of course, Monday when I get off, he goes back to work. So, but next weekend, he and I will look forward to next weekend. So, all right. Well, I love you guys. Take care. Have a great night. Have a great weekend and the rest of the week. And we'll come back next week and talk about the next 2 episodes. And in the meantime, be joyful, stay crafty in your own way, make your own joyful creations. And I hope that you have, by Jen, that you find everyday joy. All right. Bye.